Hello, Hilltop. It's Mr. Amici. I hope you enjoyed our little lesson on underhand rolling. And now we're going to talk about underhand tossing. I've got a couple of different balls now. These ones are a little bit small, and I've got a few more of them. Because underhand tossing is going to be very similar to rolling with just a few differences. Now, some equipment you could use for your tossing if you want to use something besides that ball of socks, or if you had your own regular ball or your own yarn ball, you could do little balls of paper. That's why I chose these little smaller tossing ones. These are little beanbag balls. But you could use little wads of paper if you wanted to make into small balls, kind of like our on target portion of the Unlock the Phone challenge from last Tuesday. So if you still have those little mini ball pieces, you can use those too. So before I show you how the game works, let's talk about how to underhand toss a ball. Now, it's just the same as underhand rolling, where you choose which hand you want to use. I'm going to go with my right hand again. And you still swing it down and behind your body. And you still swing it straight forward. You're also going to step with that opposite foot again. Now, what's going to make it different is those final few portions of the movement where we step and bend, but we don't bend down as much, because we're not going to let go of the ball on the floor like we did with rolling. We're going to let go of the ball in the air while my arm is going forward and up is when we release. Because if I let go of that ball while my hand is going forward and up, the ball goes forward and up. And it makes like an arch shape where it goes up and then it comes down. That's what we want to see from an underhand toss. Not so much of a straight line drive, but more of an arching throw where it's a step, swing back, swing that arm up and forward, and have it go up and then down. See that? We don't want it to go in a straight line like this. Hi-ya! Because we want it to go up, and then we're going to want it to land in a target. Now, if you notice, I've got my mat out today. And I want you to have something similar to use at home, almost like a boundary. So for this tossing game, you can't be touching the boundary when you underhand toss. And you want to try to make it into that bucket that I have there in the middle. So I'm going to grab my balls I was underhand tossing and run back to you real quick. Now I've got 6 of them. Whoa, that's a lot. And I'm going to keep underhand tossing until I make all of these into my big bin. So if I can go to any side I want, as long as I stay outside of the mat. And what's something you could use at home for your boundary? Maybe a blanket. So if you lay a blanket flat out on the floor and put a bin in the middle. Now if you say, Mr. Amici, I don't have a PE bin like you do, that's okay. What I bet you do have is maybe a 5-gallon bucket. You might have a bucket in your garage somewhere. You could use a laundry basket. Or sometimes the adult at home might have a box or a basket at home that they store toys in. So you could place those toys to the side, empty it out, and put that in the middle of your blanket. If you don't have a blanket at home, what you could do is maybe make your own boundaries. I'm just going to quickly use these balls as an example. So maybe I would just make a shape around my bucket, and I would just know, oh, I can't get any closer than these boundaries. So you should be able to create your own boundary, whether it's a blanket, or you could imagine the boundary yourself. And let's talk about ways to make this more or less challenging. Your boundary space could be bigger to make this more challenging, or your boundary space could be smaller to make it a little easier for you. Another thing you could change, the size of the ball you use. Now, if I've got a bigger ball, it might not fit in there. Another thing you could change, how about the size of the bucket? See, I had a smaller bucket in there. So there's ways to make this more or less challenging based on how you want to do it. But the most important thing is that right or proper technique for underhand tossing. So the arm that you do your throwing and your cutting and your writing with, we're going to underhand toss. So you swing that arm down and back, step with the opposite foot. You still want to bend your knees a little bit, but you're not going to release the ball until it's going forward and up. If I let go of it down here, watch what happens. It just goes straight down to the floor. I want to let go of it about here so it goes up. See that? So let's see how I do. I'm going to try to make all 6 of mine into the bucket. Now if I toss and miss, ooh, it rolled off the mat. If I toss and miss, ooh, it stayed on the mat or on my blanket. I can run and pick it up, but I have to leave that boundary area before I toss again. I made it. Maybe I'll try one on this side. I made it. I'll try over here. I made it. Try over here. I made it. Try over here. I made it. I got one more. All right. Then I can go in. I can pick my balls back up. If that was too easy for me, right, I could make a smaller target. And maybe I'll even make my boundary further away. So now I'll have to stay maybe outside these blue lines and toss. So I still want to step with that opposite foot, right? So the side that swings the ball, the other side steps forward. Step, toss. Ooh, not that time. Step, toss. Not that time. Step, toss. I made one. Oh, I knocked the bucket over. Let's pause for a second. Mr. Amici, if my bucket keeps falling over, what can I do? Here's a plan. Put something heavy inside the bucket so it doesn't tip over. Right? So I'm going to drop my cone in there, and that should make it heavy enough that the bucket won't tip over. Now you could also change the rules to make it where even if it touches the bucket, it still counts as a point. You could do that. And very similar to our rolling game, you could see how many throws it takes you to underhand toss all of them in the bucket. Or you could take turns with a partner. I throw 2, they throw 2. You could still use those playing cards like I've got down here. So use these playing cards to keep track of how many points you made. Now I have 6 of these balls that I was throwing. You could have more than that if you'd like to. You could have less than that if you'd like to. So these are your choices. Now remember, you can make the target bigger or smaller to make it more challenging. You can make the boundary bigger or smaller. And another fun underhand tossing game you could play if you had a partner would be to toss and catch to each other, but you have to stay in the same spot the whole time. Now I know all of you are super smart and have great imaginations, so I need you to imagine that that big blue bucket is another person that I'm playing the game with. So I'm standing in my spot. We can pretend I have to stay in the white rectangle, and so does my partner. I can try to underhand toss to them. I didn't get it that time, but I'm going to keep trying. Underhand toss. I did it. And then they can try to toss to me. And how to make it more challenging, if you do catch it, take 1 step back and then try again. If they catch it, take 1 step back, try again. Oh, a little too much power. But remember, we want to have that big arch where it goes up and comes down. So those main differences with our rolling and tossing, both swing underhand, but what's different? When you roll, you want to let go close to the floor. You want your hand to get all the way down here and let go right when it's down at the bottom by your feet. Underhand tossing, you don't bend as much, and you let go when your hand is out in front of you, so that ball goes up and lands back down. Let's see if I can make one from all the way back here by you guys. Here we go. I'm going to bring my arm back, step opposite foot, swing up and forward. Ooh, just missed. I got one more. Here we go. Down, back, push forward. Oh, not that time. Now, I've used those bowling pins for my rolling activity. I'm going to get this mat out of the way. But you could use the bin for a rolling activity too. by laying it sideways, and then it's like a goal. So what I could do is I could stand back here and do my opposite foot step. And if I'm rolling, remember I want to let that ball go down close to the floor, roll. I made it in the bucket. That's okay if it rolled out. Let's try again. Nice, made it in there. So you could use the bucket as a goal if you'd like. And you can also do some exercising. Remember those planks we practiced on Friday? I could do a plank like this, like I'm exercising. Let me back up so you can see the bin. And I could try to roll like this. Oh yeah, you roll like this. Not that time. Roll like that. I made 2. I can go and pick up my card. Remember, if you want to keep score, 1, 2, and I can bring those back to my pile. Another fun game that we'll try another time is you can make it almost like a hand soccer game like we did with our warm-up, where I hit it back and forth. I can crawl around and try to hit it into the bin with my hands. Or maybe I'll go like bear crawl. I'll crawl around, maybe go outside my boundary and try to toss it while I'm planking. I made it! Oh, you couldn't see me. I hope you saw it roll in. So there's all those different options where you could exercise your body and practice that underhand rolling and underhand tossing. So give some of these activities a try. I hope you enjoy them. And please answer the question on the next tile after you click completed on this one. That way, I'll know you did the whole PE lesson for our terrific Tuesday. Friends, we'll see you on Friday. Go Hawks! Bye, everybody.